If you have ADHD, autism or both, or know or love someone who does, you may be aware of many of the struggles that we go through in daily life. But there's one particular statistic that is actually quite heartbreaking. We are going to be talking about that soon, so stick around for that. But in the meantime, I want to tell you why I was inspired to do this video. A few weeks ago, I saw on social media, I can't remember whether it was Facebook or Instagram, a post about the youngest black autistic professor in Cambridge University. His name was Jason Arday. I read a little bit about him and I thought, good for you, that's amazing. He was non-verbal till I think he was 11, and I just thought that's really good. He's obviously very intelligent. He's obviously done well for himself. Good for you. I didn't really think anything of it. And then last week I saw another post about him as well, and I thought, oh, there's that guy that I read about last week. And it was talking about how he'd been investigated for plagiarism, I think, or using AI or something along those lines, and that it was under investigation. And at the time when I read that, I thought, okay, well, I wonder, I didn't know whether he'd done it or not. I don't know him as a person. It was under investigation, and I thought, oh, that's sad if that's true. Again, didn't think anything more of it. And then today, I woke up and I saw that he is no longer with us. And as a result of all of the hounding he has received from the media and from the publicity that was brought to him because of this investigation, he is no longer with us, and that is an absolute tragedy. Regardless of whether or not these allegations of plagiarism were true, he did not deserve this. And I think this has brought to me a conversation that we need to have. Not only was he autistic, he was black as well. So he started off from a place of having to work harder to get to where he was in the first place. And I'm not saying this is an excuse for plagiarism or using AI or things like that. And I'm not saying that he did that either. Nobody knows. No, he knows, and maybe someone else knows who's doing the investigation, but no members of the public who don't know him, they don't know. And even if that was true, even if he had done those things, and yeah, that's not a great thing to do, of course it's not, but he does not, and he did not deserve to no longer be here because of this. I'm just being careful about what I say because I'm not sure exactly, but I'm gathering that he has taken his own life, which is an absolute tragedy. This man had a family, he had a wife, he had children, he's got a family. It's such a waste of what sounds like, he sounds like he was a very kind person, a very intelligent man, and I think it's really important that we need to talk about these things. Going back to what I said earlier about the heartbreaking statistic about people with ADHD and autism, and that is that we are more likely to self-harm, we are more likely to take our own lives, and that is through a lack of understanding, of being misunderstood for all our lives. That is through struggling in a world where we don't feel like we fit in, where we're sensitive to injustice, and there is so much injustice in the world. All of these things, plus multiple other things, can lead to that need for that, or that feeling of, I don't know whether I can cope with this anymore. And I think this example of Jason Arday, which is it's just such a really classic example. He was getting so much pressure, so much bombardment, that maybe other people in the same situation, other professors who have been through similar inquiries before, probably didn't face. And the fact that he was autistic added to that pressure, that feeling. And I just think it's so tragic, it's so sad. I've read today, when I saw the post about the passing of Jason Arday, some of the comments underneath that post were horrific. So much hate. There was so many hate-filled comments of things like, oh well, he shouldn't have cheated, and things along those lines that were absolutely heartless. And I can't believe we have become a society where that is so normalised. It is tragic regardless of what other people think. Those people so filled with hate that they would comment these under an obituary post for somebody. I'd like to know whether they've done anything worse than using AI or plagiarism or things like that, because I bet they have. I bet some of them have. Nobody is perfect, and I think that these people need to take a good look at themselves before commenting such hateful things. Some of the comments I get on my YouTube channel, most of them are amazing and positive comments, but you do get the odd one who you can tell is from like a bitter person. And then the other day I even got one that was very hateful and violent, and I just think, why bother commenting on something that you've obviously got no interest in understanding? It's just really says more about the other person than it does about you. It says more about what is going on in their mind, that they feel like they need to be so hateful towards someone who has not harmed others. And now I'm not saying plagiarism doesn't harm others in some ways. Of course it does to an extent, it does, but it is not physical harm. And I'm not saying it can't lead to mental health problems for other people. So yeah, of course it's not right. If that's what is true, that is not right, of course. But it's certainly not the same as going out and physically hurting someone and physically being horrible to a person and unkind to someone. It's wrong, of course, yeah. Many of the mistakes people make are wrong, whether intentional or not. Everybody makes mistakes at times, but it's more often about the type of mistake that is made and what the intention was of that person. If that person's intention, for example, a person's intention is to go out and hurt someone, then of course that is worse. Of course that is worse. If that person is going to physically hurt a person and ruin the lives of other people in that way, that is horrific. I'd just like to add as well, mistakes can absolutely be made on the other end. So for example, when people write an assignment, I have known of people who have been flagged up for using AI when they have not used AI. I remember even when I don't know if it was AI, it was only just coming out, we didn't know much about it. My oldest daughter, doing one of her assignments she was in year 11 of high school, and she's very intelligent. She wrote her assignment and I saw how much hard work she put into it, and it was questioned whether she'd used AI, and she absolutely didn't. She didn't even know about it, but it was still questioned at the time because it was starting to come out. She's just an intelligent girl, and I'm not saying that AI is never used by intelligent people. Of course it is, but it's just about asking all of the questions before accusing people and before spouting hate on a person who has just lost their lives and their family are grieving them. It's not fair. I'd just like to add, if anyone watching this is a hate-filled person, don't bother commenting on this, because to be honest, I'm sick of it. Why a person feels that they need to take time out of their day to try and bring somebody down is beyond me. Why they must be so bitter about their own lives in order to do that. Instead of writing a comment, well, I disagree, but whatever. Why take it to a personal level? Why get so angry about something that you obviously don't understand. My point of this video, I'm sorry I've rambled on a bit, is there needs to be awareness about the fact that people with ADHD and autism are at higher risk of taking their own lives. They are at higher risk of self-harm. They are at higher risk of mental health issues. And I don't think the general public are aware of this. And these people filled with hate, whether they are aware of it or not, they obviously don't really care. But there needs to be more awareness about this, because this poor man has been absolutely hounded. Yeah, he may have made a mistake. He may have done, he may not have done, we don't know. But he was hounded to the point where he couldn't cope with it anymore, and that is completely wrong. I debated whether or not to talk about this because I don't know enough about the situation to... I don't know this man. I don't know whether he did it or not, but I can still see that it's a tragedy that he's no longer with us. I still can understand that he was driven to this by the media, by hate, and it's completely wrong. So that is why I chose to talk about it. And his poor family are grieving, and I just really hope for their sake that more awareness is brought to the fact that autistic people do feel that pressure more. I'm going to go now, but I thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And, you know, you may agree or disagree with this, but please, if anyone watching this is feeling so filled with hate, don't comment on my video. Go and do some work on yourself.